Okay, so today is part 2 of 4 weeks on our series from the Gospel Project about faith. And today's message is Amazed by the Messiah out of Luke 4:31 to 44. Okay, so what is the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your whole life? Think about it. Like the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your whole life. Okay. Maybe you're like, I don't know, I don't remember yesterday. Okay. How many of you, like me, hated PE in like middle school? I hated PE so much. And you know how do they make you still run the mile and they time you? Is that like a thing? Yeah? Okay. What was your fastest mile? What was your fastest mile, Jack? 6 minutes. That's how long it takes me to get. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure mine was like 20 minutes. Okay. Christian, what was your fastest mile? You can't lie to us right now. You're in the house of God. Wait, seriously? That was your fastest mile? Wow, that's impressive. Okay. Who had the slowest mile? Like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So if you are like, Okay. All right. Is next year the Olympics? Summer Olympics? Next year is something, 2024, I think. Okay, I think it's Summer Olympics. Anyway, do you guys know who the fastest man in the whole world is? What? No, it's not. He's not from Kenya. He's from Jamaica. It is Jesus. Correct, Jesus. He's the fastest man in the world. No, not mile. The 100-meter. Oh, don't ruin it, Nick. I know so much stuff. Okay, so let me pull on. We're going to stop it halfway through. But this is in 2009, I think. And no one has broken the record yet. But it's pretty amazing what he does. Okay, are you ready? Is it working? Let's see if it works. Is the sound working? Also, look how fit he is. I think he just retired recently or something like that. But no one has beat his record ever since. Sound's not working. He's from Jamaica. But so I think he's at some world championship. I don't think it's actually Olympics here. What do you think? Oh, it's on there. Never mind. It's like, what was his record? Do you know? 9.58 seconds. 100 meters. That's intense, right? Like, that's like intense. It's okay. We can still watch it because all you need to see is him running. Okay. Also, I'm just fascinated by like what athletes do before they like prep. Just watch. It's like so interesting because it's how many percent mental? 90% mental, apparently. 10% physical. Pretty sure if that was the case, I would be like so fit, because in my mind, I could make myself fit. Okay, but these are the 3 like top in the nation at that time. Look at what he's doing. He's just like in the zone. Watch them. It's just fascinating. USA, Team USA. Other Jamaican guy. Isn't it interesting, like what they do before, like to prep themselves? Look at USA. USA is praying to Jesus right now. That's what he's doing. Okay. Man, sound is cool, but it's okay. We're gonna just watch them. He's also doing something for Jesus, apparently. Just watch. Just watch. Okay. Not quite yet. Hold on. Okay. Also, he's giant. Look at him. Look at him. Like by like so far ahead. So far ahead. So far ahead. Thank you for the commentary, son. 9.58 seconds. No one has beat that record ever since then. That's pretty amazing. What can you do in 10 seconds? What can you guys do in 10 seconds, okay? What can you do in 10 seconds, okay? Like, this is pretty crazy. He's trained for so long to do that. It's pretty amazing, right? Okay. So if Usain Bolt, so before this, like there was like an interview with him or something, and he was like, and I guess some, guy, reporter, whatever, person, journalist asked him, like, are you the fastest guy in the world? And this is before he did this. And he was like, yeah, I think I am. Like, I'm going to be the fastest guy in the world. Now, if he had just said that and not done this, that would have been embarrassing. right? Like that would have been embarrassing on like world, publicity. But it's not embarrassing because he did do it. You know what I mean? Like he didn't just talk the talk, he ran the run. You know what I mean? Like he actually did it. So that idea is behind Today with Jesus. Because last week, he goes to his hometown, remember? He shows up to these people who have known him since he was like a baby. They've watched him grow up, Imagine my son when he's like 20 years old and you guys are going to be like 40. You're going to be 40, some of you. Yeah? Imagine that. It's life-changing. I'm still going to be 33. But the point being, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Chisan, you were a baby. And he's going to be like, he's going to be towering over some of you. Not all of you. Hopefully. Or maybe not. The point being, you saw him grow up, So sometimes all you think of him is going to be at this stage in his life, like this cute little 6-year-old. That's how it was with Jesus. He got up and he was like, they gathered on Sunday and he's there. And he reads the famous passage in Isaiah that says, this is the Messiah. He's going to come. He's going to do this. And he reads it and he was like, it was like a mic drop. He was like, y'all, this happens right now. I am the Messiah. And they're like, no. That punk kid who grew up, no way. That's Joseph's son. There's no way. And they could not believe Jesus was the Messiah. To the point where they almost killed him, right? But then he just walked through. So he is faster than Usain Bolt because he just walked through the crowd and was totally fine. But here we have, he's talked the talk, right? He's like, I am the Messiah. But now he has to do something about it. So here we are today, a different kind of reaction than his hometown. Let's look. First, here's Jesus, and he does something really amazing. 3 things. The first is this. Here we see in Luke 4, he goes to Capernaum, a different city down the road. And he taught there, same thing, in the synagogue, on the Sabbath, and there too, people were amazed at his teaching, for he spoke with authority. Now, this is like this, okay? So say you're at this church on Sunday, and there's this guest speaker who comes, okay? This guest speaker who comes, and he's what he shares and what he says has so much power and authority and oomph that he's viral. He's on social, everyone's no way, this guy, this is insane. And everyone is talking about him. That's what's happening right now with Jesus, the modern day equivalent, There's something different about his teaching. Do you know someone who in your life, think about somebody who maybe it's a boss or a teacher or someone in your life who they spoke with authority? Not like authority, dictatorial, where they're scary. That's not true power. That's actually just overcompensation of other things. But true authority, somebody who has this presence to them. You know what I mean? This weight, this charisma, this you're man, I could follow this guy or girl because she or he is amazing, has this sense of presence, this authority. You know what I'm talking about? People like that become presidents or something, whatever. They become really, people do follow this kind of people. Here's Jesus. He has the presence of the Holy Spirit of God on him. People recognize something's different about him. So he didn't just say, I'm the Messiah, the end. He says it and then he begins to walk it. He begins to show people, look, it starts from here. My teaching, it's the same teaching as everyone else, but it's different because I have a different kind of authority, a different kind of weight. In our culture today, everyone has something important to say. I think they did a survey because you guys know TikTok is originated from China, right? Or Chinese company, whatever it is. And so did you guys know that the same version of TikTok in China for kids does not show anything that the kids see? It shows astronauts and space and museums and it's crazy. What they show totally different things. And if you go, they did a survey, ask Chinese kids in China, what do you want to be? What do they say? Number 1 thing, astronaut. Number 1 thing in America, ask kids, what do you want to be growing up? What do they say? What? Influencer. Exactly. That's exactly how I want you to answer, child. Influencer. That's it. But do you see how what our culture gives our kids, it does influence them to be whatever direction. Nowadays, so many people, you guys know last week during VBS when all those kids came, those are mostly pastors' kids. okay? You could ask them, I think half of them have their own YouTube channels, and most of them have more subscribers than their parents' church YouTube channel does. Y'all, go ask. Like, there's a few kids that came, and, like, one of the pastors was like, "How many subscribers do you have?" And he's like, "150." He's like, "Dude, that's more than my church," like, my church YouTube channel. Like, that's the kind of generation we live in. So, but this kid is 8, y'all. I mean, I'm sure there's some really smart 8-year-olds, but, like, if you can make a fortune unboxing a box, man, I guess that's the way to go. But, like, you know what I'm talking about? Our culture has so many things, so many people saying important things. It's all become noise for most of us, right? Most of us. Same thing in that time. They're all talking, but, like, no one really has power in what they're saying. And here Jesus shows up and he cuts through that noise. He's like, look, none of that really matters. Here's the truth. Here's the teaching. That gospel, that message he spoke 2,000 years ago is the same message today. It has that kind of power to cut through the noise of this generation. It does. And it's doing that work right now. His teachings, everything he says and does, all that same authority, it lives in who? If you believe in Jesus, that same authority, that same presence lives in you. That's what you and I are called to be and to do. To be a presence of God wherever we go. To be that light, to be that salt wherever we go. Remember, this is the same Jesus. It's not a clone going to a different city. When he was in his hometown, they rejected him. Same guy shows up somewhere else, and they are amazed by him. Same guy, same teachings, totally different reaction. Let me ask you, if Jesus were to walk into this room today, and sit down right next to Sam, because he's like, that guy needs me, right? Just kidding. He's right there, okay? And everyone's like, ooh, who's that, Like, how would you respond? Would we reject him, or would we be amazed by him? Yeah, two different reactions. Same guy. What's the difference? How come some rejected? How come some were amazed? Let's keep going and see. Second thing he didn't just teach though, because you can talk real well, Like people who are good talkers, they can talk real well. But it doesn't matter if you can't do anything about it. So here he is now setting people free in power. In Luke 4, we see. Once when he was in the synagogue, he's teaching, right? There was a man possessed by an evil spirit who cried out shouting, "Go away. Why are you interfering with us?" Now, funny thing, the evil spirit knows who Jesus is. Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Next slide. And here we have continued on in this next passage. But Jesus reprimanded him, "Be quiet, come out of the man," he ordered. Just that, get out. And at that, the demon came out of him without hurting him any further. Amazed, the people exclaimed, "What authority and power this man's words possess. Even evil spirits obey him." Now, I think in Gen Z, spirituality is actually, there's a push back towards more spirituality. Yeah? No? I don't know. That's kind of what I've sensed. Millennials were super, much more, on that side of, science, reason, that's it, nothing spiritual. But I think we see more of that, spiritual, openness coming back into the culture. And the reality is the spiritual world is real. It is real. Just like if you, right now, take your hand like this, and pinch the fattiest area on yourself so it doesn't hurt, okay? Mine is where I have my children. Okay, but it should hurt a little, maybe, okay? Because physical, right, we are physically real. Just as real as your body is, so is the spiritual world. We just can't see it. Some people can. Most of us can't. That spiritual world is real. Just as there is God and his angels working on this earth, there is Satan and his fallen angels, demons working in this earth. Both. All the time. Moving and working throughout history. Probably if I were to look at history through the lens of spirituality, you would see giant wars and those kinds of things. There's probably a spiritual element behind all of those things. There has to be, The spirit world is real. Evil is at work behind lots of systems in this world. A lot. And in the Bible, we see that every single person who came to Jesus, who was experiencing oppression, was set free. Every single person. Who's gone to the doctor who's ever gone to the ER for something, okay? Yes, you have been to the ER, okay? If you're sick for something and you go to the doctor, most of the time, what happens? What do? They like take your stuff, your vitals, whatever else, and they're like, oh, here's some meds. It should make you feel better. Like, bye. And you're like, why did I wait 16 hours and pay like $400 for this junk, you know? Like, imagine if every time you had something wrong with you and you went to the doctor, you were like healed instantly right there. Like, imagine that would be insane, you know? Or like every single person who went to get healed got healed in that moment. That's literally what happened with Jesus. Every single thing, every single moment, he healed people, set people free. That like depression, the addiction, the whatever it is that we all wrestle with, he set people free. In the same way, Jesus sets you and I free, can set you and I free. Now, let me give you a caveat, okay? Because I do truly believe that healing can work from God in lots of different ways. I do believe that there are medical miracles. If you work at like the hospital and you have been in that world long enough, you know there are some healings you just cannot explain. Like if you know like doctors who've been in the field for a long time and you ask them like, are there things you can't explain? And if they're not narcissistic, they'll be like, yeah, there's stuff that I've seen that I just can't explain. Doesn't make sense. You know, it's like a miracle. You know what I mean? There's like those kinds of things that happen often. But like God does use like medicine to heal. God does use all of those things. Like he works through all of those things. And I do believe for some people, healing takes time. It's gradual. It's still God doing it, but it's gradual. So you know how a lot of like Korean people and like white people and like every color people who go to church, who are older, they always tell you like, oh, just pray. You don't have to go to counseling. Okay, there's like, just pray. And like, I get it. It's true. Because I think we often miss that point. You know, we do minimize his power a lot. We look for other ways to get healed a lot. But I think both are necessary. Both are necessary. God can use counseling. God can use medicine. God can use all of those things to do healings. You guys know Jisung's had a long medical history. I have seen medical miracle after medical miracle. They told me when he was born that he might not walk. That's what they told me. He had to do all these MRIs, all these things. It was really scary. They're like, he might not walk. Like there's a good chance he won't walk one day. And like every time we would go in, they're like, we can't explain, but he's like doing better. I'm like, yo, it's because I'm freaking praying like a crazy lady, you know? Like all I got is prayer right now. But like I have seen medical miracle after medical miracle in his life. That's my personal story. That's why I do believe like medical miracles do happen, like both in medical and like through God. Like I believe it. I know it. I've seen it. He's a walking proof of it. Like God does, can, will, is going to. I want you to ask yourself, in your life right now, what are the things you're wrestling with? The things you would like, I would never tell Stacey, but you can. But like, I would never, because like it's so embarrassing. Like I do not want anyone to know about this addiction, about this. Well, actually, if you're truly addicted, you're probably in denial of it. But the point being, like, whether it's like alcoholism, you guys know alcohol is number one substance abuse, like people die from in the country, number one, because it's socially acceptable. So no one thinks it's a problem. So I have a friend of mine who's a nurse. She says there are so many people in there for chronic alcoholism, like organ failure, and they're 20s and 30s. Majority of the patients in the hospital system right now dying cannot get on a liver transplant list because, you know, alcoholism, like dying, 20s, 30s. Your age, you guys. It's very real. You probably know someone who's experienced that. Or you are experiencing that. I don't know. The reality is, Jesus is real. God is real. He can do the work to wake you up and bring you into a place of healing. He can do that. He will do that if you say yes to that. Pornography, whatever it may be. Guys, it's a very real problem. It probably affects 90% of you, to be honest. Like, it's a very real thing in our culture with the way technology is and how early kids are exposed to it nowadays. Like, guys, there is, and the world's telling you, oh, it's all okay. That's a whole different story for a whole different time. But like, y'all, there is so much that we are bound by, like literally bound by. You know what I mean? You know when like you don't want to do something, but you find yourself doing it? We've all done that. Maybe it's like binge eating. I don't know, like any of us, all of us. You are bound to something. Something else drives you, right? Because if you're like, I can control this, all right, try. And then you're like, never mind. Like, like it doesn't work. Like, we are all bound by things beyond our control, often more than we realize. And Jesus is like, I didn't just come here on this cross, hang here and bleed and die to death for you to set you free, to give you eternal life. I didn't just do that. I came here to die so you could be free from those things that bind you today, right now. Because this is not the life I have called you to. Yeah? I haven't called you to be bound to these things that are breaking you down, hurting your body, ruining your relationships. That's not what God's called us to. God is like, I came here to set you free today and forever. Yeah? So like say yes to me because I can do that. I will do that. I have done that. I will do it in your life right now. There were those who rejected him and those who were amazed by him. So on this spectrum, where do you land? It's the same Jesus. He can do the same thing. In counseling, I have seen people crazy, amazing things. Crazy, amazing things. And also, like, especially those who come in with their own faith and they're like, I'm going to do the work together of like, like crazy, amazing things. But that choice is yours, right? That faith is yours. That like, yes, I'm going to believe and I'm going to live for this. I'm going to like ask him to do this in my life. It's on you and I to respond. But he can do it. He does do it. He will do it. The third is this, is that Jesus also healed with great power, like physically healed lots of people. Can I go to the next slide? On the next slide, we see, do I have someone back there? Yeah? No? Okay. Here we go. He healed with power. And so we see Jesus. He went to Simon is Peter, most famous disciple, house. And Peter has a mother-in-law, and she is sick with a high fever. Okay? I love this verse because at the end, look at it. Ready? So everyone's like, please heal her. And so he stands next to her. He rebukes the fever, like physical illness. And the fever left her. And she got up at once and prepared a meal for them. What an ajima, you know what I mean? Like ajima was like lying, dying on the table. And here she is like healed, like, I'm just going to make food for everybody in this house, Like that's how like radically she was healed. You know what I mean? Like physical healing. Next passage. And so as the sun went down that evening, everyone, they're like, dude, are you sick? No insurance? Let's go. Like, let's go see this guy. And everyone brought their sick family members to Jesus. Read this last sentence. No matter what their diseases were, the touch of his hand healed everyone. Healed everyone. Guys, he wants to heal your life spiritually, physically, relationally, emotionally, mentally, every single area of your life. Our bodies, our minds, every one of us. He wants to heal. You know what that looks like? Think about so we go to the hospital often, Josiah and I, because every year he has still some follow-up appointments. And I think I would have a very hard time working at the hospital, to be honest, because you see sick people all the time, And you know what's worse than sick adults? Sick kids. That's the worst, man. That's the worst. And you see these parents walking out with kids who can't walk, totally whatever it may be, whatever their issues are, whatever they're struggling with. And I think that would be really hard to watch. But literally it's like everybody with any illness, with everything that could not get fixed, came to him. Everybody. And every single person was healed. Every single person. That's how crazy this was. A bunch of broken, messed up, needy, people who could not get healing anywhere else. It was no match for his power. Every single person was healed. So let me ask you today, do you believe that miracles can happen in your life today. Think about all the issues you have in your own life. Maybe you guys do have some kind of physical thing. Maybe there's chronic pain you're going through. Maybe there's some kind of issue, disease. Nowadays, cancer, it touches people super young, in their 20s. Breast cancer. That's very common nowadays. Whatever it may be. You know someone in your family, you've experienced some kind of illness, sickness. Again, some kind of addiction, something we're bound by, something that's difficult for us. Every one of us, there's something. He can heal it. He will heal it. The question is, do you believe it? Do you seek for him to heal you? As we wrap up, I want to remind you, he did miracles for 2 reasons. If you had miracle-making power, which we don't, and there's a reason why we don't, because if we had it, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to make lots of money off of this. It would all be about me, right? And that would not be the point. Jesus did not do that. He did not. He did miracles for 2 reasons, because of compassion and for confirmation. He would see people, and you would see in scripture, he had compassion on them. He had compassion. You know when you see someone who's really ill, you know what I mean? Or really kids who are ill, your heart, you could be the hardest, you could be like Hitler and maybe not, but your heart is moved, a little bit. A little bit at least. Compassion. He has compassion, but he does it out of compassion, and he does it to confirm to us, hey, I said I would do this. I'm the Messiah. I'm the Savior. I'm here to rescue the world. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to heal you, set you free. That's what I'm here to do. Can I have the praise team come up? Do you believe that he can do miracles in your life today? Again, some miracles unfold over time. Others are instantaneous. But either way, when you and I start to say, yes, God, I need you. This issue in my life, I cannot control anymore. I cannot fix anymore. If I keep going like this in 10, 20 years, I'm going to be in a really difficult place. Can you do something in my life right now? Guys, I know a lot of you share a lot of things with me, but I also know there's a lot of things you don't share. And that's okay. But I'm here to tell you that burden is not yours to carry by yourself. Maybe you're like, I don't have those big issues. I'm just really scared about the future. I'm really scared about what's coming in the next few months or years for me. I just don't know what to do, Maybe that's where you are. And I'm here to tell you, he can do the miracle work that you and I cannot do for ourselves. Are you wandering? Are you broken? Are you doubting? Are you tired? Are you grieving? Are you empty? First, I want you to know he cares for you. He does miracles because he cares for you. Because he has compassion for you. When you and I witness a miracle in our lives, that's the first thing I want you to realize. Dang, Jesus really cares for me. He must love me for some reason. He sees you, he wants to heal you. And second, he does it because he wants to confirm to you that he is who he says he is. He is the Savior. Can we all stand?